Hello and welcome everyone. This is Eagle News. I'm David Oria in Washington. It's Saturday, August 19th, 2023 here in the nation's capital. The week's recap begins with wildfires in Western Canada wreaking havoc in two regions, the far north and southern British Columbia. As Eagle News correspondent Thomas I. Likeness reports, the blazes have forced thousands of people from their homes.
The worst of the fires are in British Columbia, where the province's Premier, David Eby, has declared a province-wide state of emergency.
In just the last hour, we've gone from about 4,500 homes under evacuation to about 15,000 homes, families being evacuated from their homes across the province.
Another 20,000 people are under an evacuation alert and may have to leave on short notice. Eby is pleading with people to stay away from regions where the fires are burning.
Please don't travel to affected areas. Only essential travel. We need roads clear for first responders, for emergency crews, for evacuees.
In southern BC, the inferno has destroyed several homes and other buildings in the city of West Kelowna. And there's bad news for the region in this weekend's forecast. More lightning is expected, along with temperatures in the mid to high 20s Celsius. Emergency Management Minister Bowen Ma says the province wants to make sure firefighters have what they need to battle the flames. She says the emergency declaration means the province can compel resources from uncooperative partners. Ma says so far cooperation has been excellent.
But given the rapidly evolving situation that we now find ourselves in, we can foresee some of those extraordinary orders that may be helpful to us in our response, and we want to be ready to be able to use them at a moment's notice.
Meanwhile, in northern Canada, the evacuation of Yellowknife from the Northwest Territories is nearly complete. Most of the city's 20,000 residents have left. Only about 1,600 people remain in the city, and they're being urged to leave as soon as possible. Mayor Rebecca Alty says even if the flames don't reach the city, the air quality from the smoke is so bad, people put themselves at risk if they remain. On Friday, cooler temperatures helped crews to hold the fire at bay. The blaze is about 15 kilometers from the city limits. The next few weeks will be full of uncertainty for thousands of people in BC and northern Canada as they wait to see when they can return to their communities, and when they do, whether they still have a home. Thomas I. Likeness, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
The World Health Organization is holding its first summit on traditional medicine. The group says it wants to find out more about such treatments and how they can be used safely. Rochelle Ferrier reports.
For millions of people worldwide, traditional medicines are the treatment of choice, but some question their value. WHO Chief Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus says they want to find out what really works.
Traditional medicine is as old as humanity itself. Throughout history, people in all countries and cultures have used traditional healers, home remedies, and ancient medicinal knowledge to meet their needs for health and well-being.
But many traditional treatments have no proven scientific value. Harold Varmus of the WHO Science Council says that's why more study is needed.
And that it's important to understand what ingredients are actually in traditional medicines, why they work in some cases, and how we can improve their use. And importantly, we need to understand and identify which traditional medicines don't work.
Traditional medicine has its critics. Conservationists say it drives a rampant trade in endangered animals, including tigers and rhinos, threatening the existence of entire species. The summit is set to become a regular event.
Rochelle Ferrier, Washington, D.C. Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
In other news, celebrating the artistry and dedication of independent musicians, the Hollywood Independent Music Awards hold its inaugural event. Here they recognize established and emerging talent in the music industry. In Hollywood, California, Alan and Ava with the report.
The inaugural Hollywood Independent Music Awards celebrates the achievements of independent musicians and artists in the music industry.
This award show recognizes a wide range of genres and styles, emphasizing the creativity of artists who operate outside music's major label system.
I was just super excited to be nominated this year. I think it's a great way for independent artists to actually get their name out to the public, whereas there might not be heard otherwise.
I think it's just really important to, connect with other independent artists. It's it's hard to be an artist, so it's nice to just be among friends and meet everybody and talk music.
I think it's an amazing organization, amazing event for connecting with the established artists and also the upcoming artists. It's a great bridge, and I just think it's a great opportunity to meet so many amazing, talented musicians and music industry professionals.
It is recognizing independent artists. For one, the record industry has changed. Everything has shifted. The mega record companies, they are no longer controlling everything. So when you have an organization like this that's paying attention to us doing our own thing and trying to get our own distribution, finding our own productions, doing all of that ourselves, and then to get that recognition. So I think this is so wonderful what they're doing.
We've been grinding so hard in independent music, and to be at the Hollywood Independent Music Awards, I mean, it's really an accomplishment that we're proud of.
So exciting.
You can't beat it. LA's the best, man.
It is a great experience just being here and around so much culture and just walks of life and different minds and perspectives. It's great to be surrounded by that and then be a part of this event.
I think it's just to recognize the artists, the talent that's out there, and it's independent, so you're going to get new talent probably, most likely.
I'm first time today here, but I really like it and I'm expecting great stuff, so I can't wait to see the show and looking forward to this.
The buzz is fantastic. You feel it here. It's different from anywhere else in the world. And what's special about this award is about independent music. It's about the artist first, the music first. And having that freedom is just really, really special.
Just like there are a lot of different people in the world, there's a lot of different views, a lot of different feelings and emotions. There's a lot of great music out there that people haven't heard that need to hear it.
I do a pop country, modern country feel that I like to call Cali country. That actually brings the songwriting roots and the storytelling of country, and it brings it into a modern genre of music that's, that alternative but mainstream music at the same time. It's really important for everyone to take a chance on every genre of music and independent artists as well.
Music is universal, man, and I think everybody should get together. Whatever type of music you do, we should all be able to relate to it.
I think music is a lifelong commitment and a lifelong dream, so I just embrace going forward and continually learning and getting my craft to even being better and better than it ever was.
I'm an artist because I have to be, and there's no other choice. Otherwise, I would be filled with angst if I wasn't.
I come from a family of painters, so they were all very surprised when I decided to go for music. It won't be easy, but if it's what you meant for it, if you're willing to pay the price for it, to do what it takes to actually get there, then you should do it, and you should tune out the noise and go for it.
Independent musicians contribute greatly to the diversity and vibrancy of the music industry.
By shedding light on talent that might not always receive mainstream attention, the HIMA strives to support these artists and to ensure the continuance of broad representation in music.
Eva and Allen, Hollywood, California, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Meanwhile, let's head over to Canada's most populous city, Toronto. Good news, riders. The city is now accepting credit and debit card, smartphone, and smartwatch payments on its public transit. Yolanda Spears reports.
Starting this week, riders can use their credit and debit cards to pay their fares on the Toronto Transit Commission or the TTC. This includes being able to pay using mobile wallets on smartphones and smartwatches. This expansion in payment option is meant to increase TTC ridership, encouraging more people to choose public transit for their daily commute. Associate Minister of Transportation Stan Cho says whether traveling for work, appointments, or anything in between, the transit experience should be as convenient as possible. On top of the TTC, riders can also use this expanded payment option on the other transit system like the Go Transit, UP Express, MyWay or Mississauga Transit, Brompton Transit, Oakville Transit, amongst many others. The province and Metrolinx are working on introducing virtual Presto cards, the current physical public transit pass in use, to be available in mobile wallets in the next few months. Presto currently has an estimated 4.7 million active customers. Ontario is the first province to offer this expanded option using Canadian debit cards to pay for public transit fares. Yolanda Aspiras, Toronto, Ontario, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Extraordinary stories from Thomas I. Likeness today. From Ecuador's rising demand for personal security to Britain's anti-e-waste mission to a non-signed billboard in the US-Canadian border. These and more on Correspondent at Large.
And now news and commentary from around the globe. We're all consumers, and our purchases are based to some extent on our circumstances in life. In other cases, for some, money is no object, and they spend freely and frivolously. And still others want to go back to the days where, you fixed things when they were broken instead of replacing them. Here are some examples of how consumerism plays out in different parts of the world. We begin in Ecuador, where personal security is a big business. The troubled country has become a key player in the regional cocaine trade. Drug cartels are taking advantage of lax security at the country's ports, shipping product from neighboring Colombia and Peru through Ecuador. And with the drug trade comes violence and a soaring murder rate. And that's created a huge market for companies that provide personal security gear. A factory in the capital city of Quito can't keep up with the demand to convert civilian vehicles into dark glass armored cars. There's a growing demand for bulletproof vests. And the customers? Well, as you'd expect, they'd be politicians, business people, diplomats, people like that. But now that list includes merchants, doctors, even teachers. People just don't feel safe. The assassination of a presidential candidate earlier this month has increased those fears. And those in the personal security business are reaping the profits. There's a movement in Britain to go back to the old way. As we mentioned earlier, when something quits working, instead of replacing it, fix it. Or when a new model of a gadget comes out, resist the temptation to throw out the old one and buy the new one. The United Nations says electronic waste is the fastest growing garbage stream, and Britain is one of the biggest contributors to the problem. Dermot Jones is on the front lines of trying to change all of that. Jones runs what he calls the Camden Fixing Factory, sort of like the old-fashioned repair shops that used to exist.
We're on a mission to rescue things that people might otherwise just throw away and start Googling reviews of new ones.
Jones says part of his mission is to educate people to not fear attempting to repair something.
We're demystifying it as well. So a lot of people would be terrified to open a vacuum cleaner or open an amplifier. We take them through how to do it safely, what the stages are, and they don't become an expert after doing it, but they know it can be done. So when another thing breaks, they think, I wonder how I'd get into that, whether it's a simple fix like the last time or what, but at least it's in their mind.
Jones says we're at a point where we're consuming things at an uncontrollable rate, and it's accelerating. And we have to put on the brakes. And here's an example of that out-of-control spending. Pet Fair Asia. It's held in China. This is where you can buy all kinds of expensive trinkets for your pet. Things like a 1.5 meter long gold ball gown for a dog. Price tag? $13,700. Oh, it comes with a matching tiara. Now, this outfit is designed for a canine wedding. The guy who sells them says, he gets a few dozen orders a year for them. Other wares on display, and these are just some of them. Artificial intelligence-powered health monitoring wearables for your pet. robots to follow your animal around, feed it, even amuse it with a laser or a broadcast of the owner's voice. And there's even cloning to replace a dog or cat that is passed on. This is a billion-dollar, I should say many billion-dollar business. Pet ownership in China has soared. Economists say young people have changing views on the family structure, and more people are choosing to remain single. They don't want to sacrifice their lives raising children. They say dogs and cats take less energy. You know, I'm a dog lover. I like cats too. But there's no way at all I would lavish them with stuff like this. And to create awareness of conspicuous consumerism, to turn our focus away from the material, there's a piece of art on the US-Canada border in Blaine, Washington. My wife spotted this on a recent trip we made to Seattle. It's called the Non-Sign 2. Non-Sign 2 is a work of abstract art just footsteps away from the border crossing. It's a blank frame surrounded by a web of metal. Non-Sign 2's creators describe it as a non-billboard. It's meant to draw attention to the landscape and not advertising. I'll be back in 7 days, and in that time, I promise not to buy anything but the essentials. And until then, I wish you all peace, joy, and happiness in the ensuing week. Thomas I. Likeness, Correspondent at Large, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
In India, fast food customers are feeling the effects of a tomato shortage. Most burger joints have dropped tomatoes from their menus. Arlene Ocampo reports on Mind Your Business.
Restaurants in India say it's just too expensive to serve tomatoes. Prices have soared as food inflation is at its highest level in more than 2 years. A couple of franchise restaurants posted signs reading, "Even tomatoes need a vacation. We are unable to add tomatoes to our food." When prices moderate, the vegetable will return. A couple of factors have pushed up prices. Bad weather affected crop yields, and major production regions have been hit with an invasion of pests that destroy the crop. In an attempt to ease price increases, the government has lifted import restrictions so that it can buy tomatoes from neighboring Nepal. Arlene Ocampo, Eagle News, we live in extraordinary times.
Papua New Guinea receives millions of additional investments from USAID as the agency reopens its office in the capital city. Echo Orteleza Canyola on Oceania at a Glance.
The global head of the United States Agency for International Development, or USAID, Samantha Power, visits Papua New Guinea. She reopens the USAID office in Port Moresby for continuous PNG USA programs, resources, and deep commitments.
My government's focus has been all aspects of relationship with USA, not just political relationship or defense cooperation, but relate to US in all sense.
The agency will provide $1.2 million to establish a solar mini-grid system in Central Province. This promises to bring 100% clean energy. Another $500,000 will be provided to support the emergency response to the eruption of Mount Bagana volcano. Power commits another $1 million for health facilities for provinces that had been hit by HIV and COVID-19 pandemic. USAID also allocates $5.2 million for humanitarian assistance. $1.2 million will go to critical assistance to children suffering from severe hunger, and $3.5 million will go to disaster preparedness funding.
As Papua New Guinea continues to drive green growth, improve healthcare, and make its communities more resilient, the United States is wholly committed to standing with you.
Nino Nadriadze will be USAID's country representative in Papua New Guinea. Power's Papua New Guinea trip marks a trio of high-level cabinet-level visits within 4 months. following Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin. Reporting from the scene, Eko Hortaleza Quinola, Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea, Eagle News, we live in extraordinary times.
Still in the region, this time in Perth. The Filipino-Australian community there talks about trade and increased economic collaboration. Jenna Lindesby has a story.
The Australia-Philippines Business Council, or APBC, holds a networking event here in Perth, Australia.
Business owners, community leaders, and professionals from various fields find it a great opportunity to gather together, collaborate, and expand their networks. The occasion is an avenue promoting products and services of several business owners, just like restaurant owner Merlinda, presenting their restaurant's specialties and signature dishes. The Philippine Honorary Consul to Western Australia, Attorney Virma Simmons, delivers her speech, followed by a government department official, educator, and business leaders. The event focuses on the Philippines and Australia's latest trade developments. During this event, the new APBC Vice President for WA, Jenny Rose Ryle, was introduced.
APBC is to maximize the business potential between Australia and the Philippines.
Firstly, introduced Jenny as the new Vice President of the Australia-Philippine Business Council, but it was also for us to be able to enhance and expand on all the achievements that we've had over the last 12 months.
Jenna Lindesby, Perth, Australia. Eagle News, we live in extraordinary times.
In other news, let's head over to Brazil, where a powerful fashion statement is reshaping the industry. Danica Lee tells us more on this week's Glow Up.
Brazilian plus-size designer Amanda Momente poses confidently for the camera. She wears the clothing label she founded after failing to find other options that fit. And Momente is a part of a growing movement of entrepreneurs, activists, and models who are unhappy with a fashion industry they say fails to fit their needs and shames them for their bodies. 34-year-old Momente founded her company, Wondersize, in 2017. Formerly a real estate agent, Momente got the idea after feeling uncomfortable at the gym. She was in clothes that were either too tight, turned transparent when stretched, or bunched up around her thighs. She decided to find a seamstress to help her make her own workout outfit. It turned out so well she quit her day job and plunged headfirst into the fashion world. With more than half of all adults in Brazil being overweight, she says the fashion industry needs to fit their bodies, not the other way around. Danica Lee, Eagle News, we live in extraordinary times.
Let's head back to Papua New Guinea as the country celebrates its 7th Melanesian Arts and Culture Day, underscoring unity in diversity. Here's Eko Hortaleza Quinola on Color My World.
In line with the 7th Melanesian Arts and Culture Show, the heritage of the people from West New Britain called Tumbuans showcases their songs and dance. Papua New Guinea's Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture, E.C. Henry Leonard, and National Cultural Commission Director Stephen Kilanda were in Port Vila, Vanuatu to participate in the event. Honorable Leonard said Papua New Guineans must mingle together in unity and diversity. He called on them to forge relationships to ensure their respective culture heritage is protected and promoted at all times. Eko Hortaleza Quinola, Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea, Eagle News, we live in extraordinary times.
It's time for food. This week, our very own Aika Arrow will share with us her awesome recipe for honey garlic shrimp. So put on your aprons and let's go behind the counter.
Hey, I'm Aika, and welcome back to Behind the Counter, where we see easy and tasty meals be brought to life. This week we have a classic and shrimple recipe that you'll enjoy. Let's take a look at this honey garlic shrimp. Check back here for full recipes, and if there's a dish that you'd like to see, let us know in the comments below. Catch us on EagleNewsLive.com, on our Eagle News YouTube channel, and our Facebook page. Check back next time when we go behind the counter.
Before we let you go, here's our photo of the week. This is part of the Great Lakes in Ontario, Canada. Look at those three kayaking under the bright summer sun over those perfectly blue waters. Thank you, Yolanda Espiras, for this photo. And thank you all for joining us again. If there are other stories or topics you want us to share with you, just comment below. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at Eagle News Live. I'm David Oria. We live in extraordinary times. Stay happy and healthy, everyone.